Okay, so we've got this drawing to be the right size now in AutoCAD, but it's obviously not oriented the right way. We need to rotate this to match what's been done in AutoCAD, or we could rotate the AutoCAD drawing. Actually, I'll ask you, have you started to set out your drawings at all on some sheets or tried to work that out? It's something to think about at the beginning. Not so much your overall layout, but you at least want to settle on the orientation you're going to use for your main drawings, particularly your floor plans, because that can be difficult to change midstream if you need to rotate all of your plans differently. It's technically quite a difficult thing, particularly in Revit. You can do it, but it's much easier if you get that right at the beginning and stick with it. So I actually think it would be better to rotate the AutoCAD plan personally in the PDF. Yeah, that's right. I think I do. So, so I'll show you how to rotate the AutoCAD, and that's something you need to do all the time in AutoCAD anyway. So I'm going to just click, making sure there's nothing active or no commands running by pressing Escape twice maybe. Then I'm going to click in empty space above and to the left of all of the AutoCAD lines. So I've zoomed out so that I can see all of that floor plan. And now by clicking to the left, I can move my cursor to the right, which means it should be blue with a solid outline. If it's green with a dashed outline, you're going the wrong way. So it should be again blue. And when it's blue with a solid outline, do you remember what that means in AutoCAD? Only selects the things inside. So I can go over the image. As long as I don't go completely over it, I'm not going to select it. Okay, so, and that's called a window. If I go the other way, to the left, it's a crossing window, which would select the image as well, because it selects anything it's touching. So again, really important there that you know those two different options for selecting, and I think here definitely the blue one, going left to right, should be much easier. So now that I've selected all the things I want to rotate, I'm going to click the Rotate tool. So that's in the Modify panel. You have the Rotate button. And then I'm going to click a point here. I'm not going to be too fussy, just somewhere near the middle of the floor plan. And then because I've got Ortho turned on, you can see that I can just move the cursor and it's going to snap in 90-degree increments. So just by moving the cursor so that it's pointing up towards the top of the screen, that should rotate at 90 degrees. And once I can see that it matches the PDF or the JPG, I'm going to click and it should rotate it that way. That easy. Now I might want to move all of those lines, and I'll show you just a little trick for selecting. So before I selected the objects first, and I could do that now as well, but instead I'm going to click the command first this time. I'm going to click the Move button, again in the Modify panel, just next to Rotate. And then, because there isn't anything selected, it's going to ask me to select objects. And I'm going to type P and then Enter, and that's going to select the previous selection. So you can see there it's telling me on the command line 424 found, because those were the objects I selected last time. Right, so now I just need to let AutoCAD know I've finished selecting. It's still asking me to select objects, so I'm going to press Enter to do that. And now it's asking for a base point, and that's where I can pick it up by clicking my base point. And you can see there it's locked to either vertical or horizontal. So I'm going to turn Ortho off now, and I can then place it at any angle. So I'm just going to make sure it's not on top of the PDF. It's moving it to one side. And then, so I'm just doing that to compare and making sure that I can see both those objects separately. And really just to get used to using the Move tool. Now I want to do it a bit more precisely. So I'm going to repeat that, And then we click the Move button again. P, Enter, and then again Enter to finish selecting. Now I want to line this up with my insert JPEG. So I'm going to zoom right in and find the corner of this space. So I'll just zoom out again so you can see that clearly. It's the bottom left corner of the interior. So next to this door here, hopefully you can all find the interior, and it's on the corner of the wall, not the corner of the grid line there. So again, that's the point I'm choosing. That's my base point. Now I'm going to zoom out and find that point on this plan here, and what do you know? It's, oh no, it's quite similar. So zooming right in there, I'm going to try and get that as close as I can. You can see there are some differences already that are fairly obvious, but that's why we are working with both. So there, just trying to line that up by eye over the floor plan. If you want to have a go at doing that again, you can just use the same method. Click the Move button, P, Enter. We'll select those objects again, so you don't have to worry about selecting the wrong thing. Enter again to finish, and then you can click a new base point. So here you can see it doesn't line up all that well there. So I might try moving it a bit more by picking the corner there and moving it across a bit more. Well, actually, I'm going to have another go at it again, because probably the grid line is the more important thing. So again, just... Oh, now one last thing I'll just show you here. When I go to click the second point, you can see that, well, maybe you can't tell, but that won't actually move because it's going to snap to this point next to it. So sometimes it helps here if you can turn Object Snap off. So that just will stop it snapping to anything. So down on the status bar, it's the rectangle with the asterisk in the top left corner. So it's really important that you know that. In Revit, you generally have Object Snap all the time, but in AutoCAD, it's really important that you can turn that off. So here you can see it's not going to snap anymore to endpoints or anything else, and I can click new points more freely and be fairly sure it's going to go exactly to that point. So if you've ever had it jumping to a point but you don't mean it to, it's probably because of that Object Snap option, but you can of course toggle that on and off. So now you can see that the columns line up pretty well, and that's probably what you want to aim for. So I think the columns there should all sit fairly well on the column grid. It'll never be perfect, so don't worry if it's slightly off center like mine is there, as long as it sits fairly well on top. And again, it will never be perfect because there are always going to be inaccuracies with a file like this JPEG. And then also it looks like, oh no, it actually is drawn fairly well, this AutoCAD file, I think. Okay, so I'll give you a minute just to make sure that's all working, and then we can take it into Revit.